Topping the news this hour, Hurricane Ian makes landfall in southwestern Florida near Cayo Costa as a massive Category 4 storm. This is a live look from St. Petersburg on the top and Bradenton on the bottom, which is 30 minutes south of St. Petersburg.
And here's a live look of Hurricane Ian from the KHOU 11 radar, where you can see just how massive and powerful the storm is. Let's go live to CNN's Gloria Pazmino, who is in Tampa tonight. Gloria.
And the rain is continuing to come down here in Tampa, which is where I'm standing right now. The wind, the rain coming in every possible direction, but nothing like what we are seeing towards the south. Fort Myers, Cape Coral, Naples, that area of Florida to the south, about 90 miles from here where Hurricane Ian made landfall, getting catastrophic amounts of flooding as Ian continues its path across the state.
Hurricane Ian slamming Florida's Gulf Coast with near Category 5 strength. The monster storm packing winds of 155 miles per hour.
155-mile-an-hour winds are incredibly dangerous. There will be debris in the air and flooding powerful enough to move cars around.
Even before the worst of the storm hit, people in Fort Myers already seeing mass flooding.
The storm surge is very significant. We're actually seeing cars and boats float down the street. We're seeing trees nearly bent in half.
In some areas, the storm surge could reach life-threatening levels of near 18 feet. Already, hundreds of thousands of people are without power. Ahead of the storm, long lines on interstates as residents scramble to evacuate, but some choosing to stay behind and ride it out.
I've got my safe room ready. We have a second bathroom with no windows. I've got a bed in there. I've got the dog food, water. The bathtub is full.
Governor Ron DeSantis expecting to submit a request for a major disaster declaration for all 67 counties, which will allow the federal government to send funds for cleanup.
We are on the alert and in action. We've approved every request Florida has made.
Now, over million people, over a million people, I should say, across the state of Florida are currently without power. As we start to lose the sunlight, that's going to become a major source of concern for people across the state as Ian continues to wreak havoc, bring water, bring wind, flooding, historic amounts of wind here to the state. In Tampa, Gloria Pazmino, back to you.
Thank you, Gloria. And take a look at this now. Strong winds blew through Punta Gorda, Florida. That's about 35 minutes northwest of Fort Myers. You can see just how intense the winds are as they whip around those palm fronds.
Yeah, we have team weather coverage tonight. Meteorologists David Paul and Tim Pandages tracking Ian.
Kicking us off is Dave with the storm's latest track.
Yeah, a landfalling hurricane of this magnitude is actually quite a rare event. And this one made landfall a couple of hours ago near Fort Myers, near Port Charlotte, as a strong Category 4, had winds of 150 as it made landfall. That's on the high end of Category 4. Category 4 goes up to 156. If it had reached 157, it would have been a Cat 5. We stayed just below that, at least by initial estimates. The storm is moving inland. Notice how the eye is becoming more ragged and beginning to fill. That's what happens as storms move inland. They lose their energy source, which is the warm waters of the ocean. Once they move inland, they're literally cut off from it, and it is weakening, but this is going to be a slow process of winding down. Winds now at 130 miles an hour. It's still a Cat 3 as it continues to move on inland. Worst of the surge flooding right in here, Port Charlotte area, Charlotte Bay. Surge may have gone as high as 12 to 18 feet in some spots here, and still have a well-defined eye on local radar as it moves inland, and that is very heavy rain on the north side of the eye from Sarasota to Arcadia, up to Baird, up to Tierra Verde, where some totals across the state could easily reach 10, 15, 18 inches. And look at current wind gusts just over the past 15 minutes at a gust to 123 at Punta Gorda. So while Florida deals with a devastating hurricane, here on the other side of the Gulf of Mexico, Tim Pan Pantages, we have some of the most beautiful weather in the country, but we are feeling some slight impacts from that circulation.
That's right. Quite a different story here on the Western Gulf, David. 750 miles away from the center of Ian, but we are seeing the waves propagating out from it. So the storm agitating the ocean, the waves spanning out from the center and traveling off to the west. And some of those waves are reaching the southeast Texas coastline. So we're looking at waves of 3 to 5 feet and a rip current risk that'll stick around really right through the end of the week and into the upcoming weekend. Couple that with northeasterly winds at the surface that are bringing in the lower humidity for us, and we've been enjoying that. However, if you are an allergy sufferer, now that pollen is really cranking. High grasses, but very high weed pollen. The ragweed came down a bit today, but that's just one of a whole bunch of weed pollens that's really exacerbating allergies across the area, and high mold count as well. Coming up, we're going to talk more about that track, where it goes from here, and if it could make a secondary landfall somewhere along the East Coast in just a few minutes, guys.
All right, Tim Pandages, thank you. And now have a look at this. Images from inside the storm from hurricane hunter Nick Underwood. Meteorologist Cheetah Craft and photojournalist Ivan Gibson just landed from joining the hurricane hunters to observe and report back as researchers studied the storm. Cheetah gave us a quick preview before the flight took off this morning.
I'm inside the plane. We're about to take off in about 10 minutes. Strong Category 4 Hurricane Ian, flying with hurricane hunters. And of course, our photojournalist Ivan Gibson, where he's sitting, makes everything stored away for the flight takeoff. We will send you updates when we can. While we're in flight, we will not have Wi-Fi. Here's a look inside the aircraft. All right, see you in about 6 o'clock.
Such a fascinating firsthand account that Cheetah has been wanting to experience and bring to you for some time. She'll have a full recap of her trip with the hurricane hunters tonight on KHOU 11 News at 10. And we are helping you stay on top of the latest developments with this storm. Just text the word hurricane to 713-526-1111. You'll have access to all our online coverage, including the storm's track and the KHOU Hurricane Preparedness Guide.